Welcome to the second episode of the Peak Politics Podcast. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. If you are new,
hello there.
Sucks to be you. Enjoy your newfound form of torture. This is going to be our technically third publication or release, but our second official episode, weekly episode. I don't know if we mentioned that last time. This is a weekly podcast. We're going to go over mainly events of the week, Monday to Friday, and maybe some new developments that happened today if anything interesting occurs, but primarily Monday to Friday. Anything we talk about, with the exception of maybe some obscure references, should be linked in the description of this video if you'd like to find out more. I think that about sums it up. I'm Andrew, and joined with my other host,
Wyatt.
We're going to be giving our entirely uneducated opinion on the week's events. So, one of the week's events was this Wednesday I turned 21, so me and Wyatt will now do a shot.
Yep. You ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right. You do the count off.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Okay, well, that was some Jameson triple distilled Irish whiskey. Wyatt, what did you have?
I had... oh, jeez. Oh, man, I sound like a pussy right now after I just did Fireball.
Okay.
It's just regular Fireball whiskey. In my defense, I haven't actually drinking any alcohol in a while, so... That
defense holds no water with me since I just turned 21 and I have never drank that whiskey before, and I downed it like a champ.
Well, in my defense, I actually forgot how spicy, well, not spicy, but how...
cinnamon's a spice, so yes.
Yeah, well, I guess, yeah. How spicy Fireball was going down. I forgot about that.
I gotta tell, by the way, I'm also a cigar smoker, avid cigar smoker, and I am having a CAO, Nicaraguan right now, or Nicaragua cigar, which is one of their cheaper ones. I think these go in for like $8 most places. So they're very affordable, but they're a nice big, Churchill-sized cigar. They're quite nice.
Yeah.
I gotta say, it goes very well with this. Definitely tastes good. So, all right, that was the extent of our celebration for that.
Yep. Congrats. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Let's move on to events of the week.
All right. So you wanna start us off?
Actually, this was your big take for the week,
that's
so
right,
let's go ahead and have you
all right, so
lay it out.
First topic today. Nick Cannon.
Racist motherfucker.
Exactly. With his racist ass. So...
Oh yeah, language warning. We keep forgetting to do that.
Yeah, we do, but it is what it is. This guy... Sorry, excuse me. I had to burp.
You don't have to actually tell them that.
I know, but I thought I should, because
we're fully transparent here. We're totally honest. We don't lie about anything.
100%. Facts. Straight facts.
Straight facts.
Only
the facts.
Yeah, it's not a truth over facts here.
Which you should watch.
Yep, which we will talk about later. So basically, Nick Cannon is, for those of you who are unfamiliar, he is a hip hop music entertainer. He hosts a number of shows that usually have ties to hip hop, including Wild 'N Out, which is a show on MTV where basically they have people do rap battles back and forth. I believe that they're scripted. I'm not 100% sure. They might not be. I don't know. I never really paid too much attention to it, but it was pretty big with the hip hop community. But in this
today we're going to talk about his podcast, though, because he also has a podcast.
Exactly.
And
yes,
he decides to voice some of his rather retarded opinions on there.
Oh yeah, these opinions are completely disgusting. So he So he said that people who have little to no melanin are a little less, they're lesser, they're closer to animals, and that they're true savages.
Less compassion, less soul.
And that also he also turned and he said, now, people with more melanin, we have compassion, we have soul. So alluding to the fact that people with no melanin or little melanin,
or insinuating,
don't. Insinuating that they don't. This is ridiculous on so many levels. Like, oh my gosh, like it fits the textbook definition of racism to a T.
Well, I guess for my take on this, because like his comments themselves are pretty disgusting, but they're not really unexpected. I mean, like I understand there's a significant portion of the country that probably feels that way, significant minority. But
yeah,
what's interesting is that when he was asked to apologize, they asked him. I think it was Viacom asked him to apologize for his anti-Semitic comments, because he also made comments to the effect that the Jews aren't the real Jews, the Black Hebrew Israelite stuff, and mentioned Louis Farrakhan as a reference for some of his opinions, which is always a good sign. And when he officially, I think he did give an apology, but only for the anti-Semitism. He never. It's interesting. Like, what exactly did he not apologize for? Anti-white stuff. He, the specifically anti-white views he held, he did not apologize for. No one asked him to either, apparently.
Yeah. No.
So
apparently not.
Tells you a lot.
Yeah, it does. 100% does. And so yeah, it's pretty terrible. And the good news is, well, I guess kind of good news. He did get fired from one of his shows, because he has multiple different deals with multiple different.
Yeah, he's quite the entertainer. Like that's the other thing is the reason why this is an interesting story is like you may not have heard of Nick Cannon. I personally didn't have much experience with him, but he is a significant entertainer. Like he has a lot of things he's done. He's been a lot of places. I think he's been around since 1998 with this one network, if I'm correct. I mean, he's been around. He's not an amateur. He's not new. He's not a niche specific per se. I mean, he's pretty widely available on a number of shows, number of programs.
Oh yeah, for sure. And
definitely has Oh no, you're fine. Definitely has an impact. I mean, he's not an insignificant person.
No, but at one point he was also married to Mariah Carey, so that kind of shows you like how big he is as far as status goes. But yeah, and he's obviously completely disgusting, because those comments are really bad. That's horrible. So the kind of good news is he was fired from Viacom CBS. I'm not sure which show that they had that he had on there. Oh, okay. They're the parent company of MTV, so I guess it would be all the ones that are.
He's been on MTV like since '98, if I recall. Like he's.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. I think that's what I'm thinking of. He's been on MTV TV since like '98. So I mean, like, what is this? 22 years. This guy's been in public life, reasonably prominent.
Yeah.
And oh my God, like the people we idolize, man.
Yeah.
The people that get like fame in our society suck.
Yep, absolutely. And so they fired him, but here's the kicker. It's like Andrew said, they fired him because he didn't. They asked him to apologize for his anti-Semitic comments, and he said no, and so they fired him for that. And here's the thing: they fired him for the couple of lines, which let's not make light of it. Were terrible. What he said about Jewish people.
They're not really the Jews. They stole it from us.
Yeah,
it's
it's
Black Hebrew Israelite like propaganda, basically.
Yeah, it is, and it's completely disgusting. However, he didn't expand on that like he did where he went on.
Well, he didn't even make it a race thing with the Jews. He just like, you stole this and that. Liar. Yep. I mean, he really just made it like a thing about the Jews from a religious perspective, as far as I can tell.
Yeah,
and of course, the Jewish people are a race. Obviously you have an ethnicity there, but I mean that wasn't really what I gathered from his comments. It seemed like he had a problem with the religious practice of the Jews, and them claiming they were the Jews. Yeah. Whereas his 100%. General problem with whites was just like, if you have less melanin in your skin than I do, you're not a human being.
Yeah,
which is way more broad and a lot more terrible.
Yeah, and they didn't even ask him to apologize for that, and that's not why he was fired.
Like conspiracy theories about the Jews are one thing. Saying you hate white people because they're white is just ridiculous.
It is. It's terrible. It's disgusting and.
Actually, I don't. And to be fair, not to put words. I don't know if he hates white people. He definitely thinks less of them. Put it that way.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He may consider himself like some Jesus figure, all super compassionate and hanging out with the lesser human beings and whatnot. But If nothing else, he certainly has an unearned arrogance.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. So yeah, no, it's definitely disgusting. But yeah, it's
moderately surprising that people can express those views and not get called out for them. Because again, no one cared about that. No one talked about that.
Nope, no one cared.
People on the right cared. Because people on the right actually find racism quite distasteful. Like, we actually think it's a problem. So,
yeah.
But it's just astounding.
It is. It really is, man. And it's sad to see as well, because we obviously don't want to see people acting in this manner at all.
Yeah. But when they do act in this manner, we are opportunists, and so we have made some memes about it. If you'd like to, we have a Twitter page.
Yep.
We post memes there. That's about all we do.
A bunch of memes. We posted what, maybe like 20?
I don't even know, man. But that's really all we do on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want some political memes and maybe updates on our podcast, perhaps we'll link some episodes there. But primarily, I'm going to say we post memes there.
Yep.
So, if you're interested, please check that out.
Yep. Quick little plug there.
Oh yeah.
And our on there is Peak Politics Pod, because you can't have a name longer than, I think it's like 12 or 13 characters, so we couldn't say podcast, so it's just Peak Politics Pod is the app for Twitter. And then we will probably make a Parler here in the future, but I don't think we're really going to make any other social media.
No, I'm not really interested in anything else. I mean, I'm not really even interested in Twitter. I think that I was just wondering about Parler, because I think Parler you have to tie to a phone number, and we both already have accounts, so
yeah.
I think they're trying to avoid duplicate accounts.
Yeah, which is fair.
It's good. It's actually way smarter than what Twitter does, as far as, like, if that's what they're trying to do, is to avoid bots. It's pretty smart.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Not that there aren't ways around it, just...
Yeah.
Maybe I should have a second phone just for Parler.
There you go.
I'll just buy a second phone just because of the Parler. That's the only app it'll have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go. Just use that 200 IQ brain.
Dude, actually, what I could have done, because oh, by the way, this is another plug, not for us though, it's for BlackBerry. If you think that smartphones are stupid, and that's you like some of their features but not all of them, for example, they don't have real buttons, try the BlackBerry key series. I love those. I have a BlackBerry Key 2. They're awesome. The keyboard's phenomenal. Plus, good security. BlackBerry, you know what I mean? Like, you get good security, which is one of the reasons, like, personally, I waited to switch over from iPhone to Android. I wanted to see some Android phones come out with some really good security. I had a friend one time, he could literally take his Android, and if he just, like, dropped it or smacked it, it would unlock. He had like a 12-digit password, but if you just shake the phone hard enough, it would unlock it. Like, what the hell is that? So, but yeah, Blackberries are awesome. And one of the cool features of my BlackBerry is that it can accept 2 SIM cards. Although I suspect a lot of phones can do that, but I might just put a second SIM card in there. White as an Android, though. How do you like your?
Yeah, I do.
How do you like your Galaxy White? It's a Galaxy, right?
I love it. Yeah, it's a Samsung Galaxy.
Like, the screens on those things are nice. Like, there are features on there that I think are great, but I wish the security was slightly better. Although I imagine they've gotten a lot better than they were maybe like 5-10 years ago.
Oh yeah, no, they're definitely a lot better now. But yeah, no, I love this phone. The only problem is that I've watched so much anime and other stuff, like on like sites that have pop-up ads and stuff, that my phone has slowed down a lot because of that. So I need to get a new phone. The good news is that I only have BlackBerry.
Yeah, it's that good security and shit.
Yeah, whatever. Anyways, but
I get on websites that sell children.
Whoa,
I don't get viruses.
Oh yeah, you mean Wayfair?
Yeah, that was a Wayfair joke.
Yeah.
Actually, that's interesting. We didn't really have much to say about that, except for the fact that I think we mentioned it last podcast. Said we talk about it more. It's gone. The stories. Yep. There's no one's talking about it.
Yeah.
Within like a day, it's just gone. So some people were saying it's conspiracy theories. Some people saying it's just rumors, but there were like screenshots. A lot of people were talking about it. Some people seemed pretty interested. Had some interesting stories about it on Twitter for a while, and it's just not really a thing anymore. So
really
what the
weird.
hell?
Yeah, I think at the very least, people.
It would have warranted a week of talking about and some investigation. Didn't even get that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely think there should definitely be an investigation because there's some pretty creepy stuff.
Well, at least like a Twitter investigation. Let's just get like more people talking about it on Twitter. That would have made sense.
Yeah.
I'm not even seeing that. So I'm just shocked, like just completely gone.
Me too.
All right. But speaking of Twitter and speaking of all the crap, do you want to move into our second topic, or do we have more to say about Nick Cannon being a jackass?
No, I don't have anything to say for his piece of shit ass. Nothing else.
All right. Well, I guess we should talk about the Twitter hack, which is for me one of the biggest events of the week. The fact that Twitter got hacked. How many hundreds of accounts, blue checkmark people said they had their accounts hacked? Like Obama, Biden. I mean, Elon Musk. I mean, very high-profile individuals saying they had their account hacked. Pretty interesting.
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates, yeah, Bill Gates.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. I don't like Bill Gates that much. So.
Oh, and Obama.
I already said Obama.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
It's literally the first one I used. He has the most followers on Twitter of anyone. So that was the most important one, is that he got hacked. And initially, and I think even still, a lot of people were running with the idea that it was a Bitcoin scam, which is positively retarded because they made next to nothing. I mean, like $100,000 in Bitcoin, which he makes so much more than that. At least that's what I was hearing, $100,000. More interesting was, I think, apparently there was a pretty volatile stock market reaction to it, and one of the things they were saying, Tim Pool was talking about, like, well, if you got into these access to these accounts, one of the easy things you could do is find a famous person, say Elon Musk would be a good example, put out a tweet from his account saying that saying it was from his lawyers of his state, saying that Mr. Elon Musk had died of X cause, and details to follow. And you could just sell all your Tesla stock, watch it plummet, buy it at a way lower rate, way lower cost per share, and then profit massively. So, like, I mean, if you want to make money, if this was a money scheme, just specifically to earn some revenue, there are better ways to do it than Bitcoin. Better ways than what they were doing. So I'm not so sure I believe the idea that this is just for making money. If you're going to hack Obama's account just to make some money, Bitcoin's not a great way to do it.
Yeah, no.
So.
And then also, apparently, what Twitter said that it was also a victim of a coordinated social engineering attack that also targeted some of their employees as well.
Well, I don't think it was also. I think it was the same attack.
Right.
But I'm saying what Twitter put out said that basically the way the attack occurred is that either they didn't say either. They said specifically their employees' accounts with access to Twitter tools, they were hacked. And there were screenshots of some of the stuff being released, of some of the Twitter tools, some of the internal stuff going on. And one of the interesting things of one of the screenshots you see is that there's a trend blacklist and a search blacklist. Now, we've always suspected as conservatives, since they always, for a while, we suspected that we know for a fact they're shadow banning, they ban people for political reasons, but we always suspected there was probably a blacklist. Like, that was a reasonable assumption. They had a blacklist on certain search terms and on trends, things that just wouldn't be allowed to trend. Again, this is all kind of shoddy. I'm not saying this is like the most reliable reporting, but effectively confirm that if those screenshots are legit. I guess the only question there would be like, what exactly is on the blacklist? Is it political, or is it just like stuff like like porn? Obviously, Twitter's obviously trying to stop porn from trending, or you searching up like hardcore pornography on their site. I totally get, but so what's in the blacklist? I guess would be the question. So that was really interesting thing to come out of this hack. But they said that Twitter statement said that their employees were hacked, their accounts were hacked, and I'm wondering if that's true or if the employees gave these people access. That's what I'm wondering. I don't know.
That's a very good question.
So that was interesting, and that's what's concerning is if Twitter employees gave access to people, or even if they were just hacked that easily, then, and we know how powerful Twitter can be.
Oh yeah.
I mean, for example, like, wasn't it, getting back to Elon Musk, he smokes weed with Joe Rogan, that trends for a little bit, but just him smoking weed with Joe Rogan caused his stock to drop, whatnot. So, I mean, like, imagine what you could do with his official Twitter account. You know what I mean? So, that's pretty concerning. People having access to these people's Twitters. And Obama, like, you think that the former president would have considerable security on his accounts. So
Yeah, you would assume so.
You would assume. Could be wrong. Maybe he doesn't.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe he didn't want to do, like, the two-step verification.
Maybe.
That being said, apparently a lot of the people that got hacked said they had two-step authentication on.
Right, yeah.
So that didn't stop shit. Like, that didn't do anything.
Yeah, which is pretty concerning.
What are your concerns with this, Wyatt? Because I've already laid mine out. I think you could do some actual damage with the stock market. Like, for example, one of the things that was interesting Tim Pool mentioned, and I thought was actually pretty terrifying, was that you hack someone's account, or a couple people's account, you release some news, some catastrophic event about the owners of said companies, their stock plummets. And then let's say you have a retirement account, and or let's say not even retirement. Let's say you have an account, so you have just a portfolio, and you have certain assets set to just automatically sell if they rapidly drop in price.
Yep.
Well, they automatically sell. Once they hit rock bottom, start going back up. Someone else has it set to automatically buy, or they go in, they manually buy this, and now you basically reallocated those assets over to other people.
Yep.
And the individuals that auto sold those shares would not have known they'd done it. Like, it wasn't intentional. It was just like, well, the stock market dropped like really sharply, really quick. It just plummeted. The value of those stocks went way the hell down. You automatically sold off what you had. Someone else picked them up at a way cheaper price and profited. And that portfolio meant something to you. That was a way of if that was like a serious amount of your assets, that would suck.
Yep.
Chances are you lost money and you're not going to recover it.
Yeah.
So that was interesting theory.
And another thing about that too is this came just 1 or 2 days after Trump's executive order.
Like 1 day, like exactly a day after his executive order on Hong Kong.
Yep.
Which seems to be pretty strong punitive measures against China.
Oh yeah. Yeah, pretty strong.
China was profiting off Hong Kong. Hong Kong has some special status as long as it remained free, that it wouldn't be subject to certain sanctions, certain rules. And now that's what the executive order. One of the things that I think that's literally like the title of the executive orders. They're trying to Hong Kong normalization. They're changing the designation on Hong Kong, so now that it's not going to have these protections. So now it's subject to everything we had that China was subject to. And if that was a serious source of income for the Chinese, well, that's pretty bad. It's not good.
Oh yeah.
So that's interesting.
Very interesting. And of course, we'll leave the link to the executive order.
Yeah, it's a bunch of legal jargon, and we're not really good at that. But if you'd like to look at it, it's there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was interesting. So I guess the interesting takeaways are: how much damage could you do with this sort of hack? Was this an inside job on Twitter's part? And is this being done by the Chinese as retaliation for Trump's executive order? Because apparently this affected the stock market. I wasn't watching super closely. I probably could probably look at it pretty easily, but I wasn't watching it super closely. But apparently this affected the stock market rather sharply. That this hack had occurred. So that's concerning. All right, I think that wraps up the Twitter hack. If you're interested any further, we have a couple links on that. We'll put in the description. I think the third big thing to talk about is de Blasio's stupid comments. Specifically, we have a pretty serious crime increase occurring in these Democrat-run cities where they've asked the police to leave or release violent criminals from jail. So we had de Blasio recently, can't remember what was that, Friday? Maybe it was Thursday. De Blasio saying that New York City was safer and better as it currently was, with less police and more people out of prison.
Yeah.
Which seems to be contradicted by the skyrocketing murder rates.
Yeah.
But don't let facts stop you, de Blasio.
Yeah. So here's the, it's just like you said. The problem with his statement is that
it's verifiably false.
Yeah, is that they're verifiably false. So shootings in New York City have rose 130% in June, which is their highest level since 1996. And
what was happening in the 90s? What?
Should I tell them? A bunch of violent crime.
Yeah, crime wave.
Yep.
You recall the
Very big
1994 crime bill to deal with that, which, I mean, it was. I would like to maintain that it was probably somewhat effective. But more effective in New York was Rudy Giuliani and his increasing of police and his broken windows policing policy.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that, you have to stop people from committing even the small crimes, otherwise you're going to get larger crimes. Well, now police don't stop people for small crimes in New York. They've admitted as much. Like, they're not really policing anything, hardly at all, except for. And now I don't know actually if they're policing at all in certain sections of the city. But I mean, I think they were pretty much reserving their action for more serious crimes, but they were allowing a lot of the smaller stuff to go by, to just be ignored. And we know for a fact, you look at Rudy Giuliani's tenor, you look at Bloomberg, his administration, and we know that's bullshit. We know that you need to do the broken windows policing works, dramatically lowers crime rates, because you're arresting people for smaller crimes, and you're preventing them from committing bigger crimes. You're preventing there being a culture that allows any level of crime. I think one of the things they were doing is they were arresting people like for jaywalking in like the richer white neighborhoods, and they were getting upset. And it's like, well, if I'm going to go over there and tell like a bunch of black people they can't graffiti like a building, I'm going to arrest them for that, for defacing public property or defacing private property. I'm going to arrest you for jaywalking. It's like, or at least give you a citation, because you being rich and white doesn't exempt you from basic laws.
Oh yeah,
and that was the general policy for Rudy Giuliani's police force was, no matter how small it is, if it's illegal, you deal with that.
Yeah, which is the way it
Obviously,
should be.
I imagine they showed some discretion. I'm not saying they were just totally ruthless, but they were a lot harder on these smaller crimes, and you saw a general decrease in crime as a result. Much cleaner city as well. So, and de Blasio just reversed that. He just basically admitted as much. He's going to let small crimes go. He releases all these violent criminals, releases all these non-violent criminals too, out of jail and whatnot. It's like, well, that's ridiculous, because we know that doesn't work. You know that you can't just allow people a pass on any level of crime.
No, absolutely not. And he also said the reason why it was safer and better is because there were fewer people in jail. Which
the least number of people in jail since like World War II. What he said?
Yeah, it's the lowest number of people that they've had in jail since World War II.
I wonder where all the potential criminals were during World War II. Drafted, perhaps?
Yeah.
So, if that's your standard,
yes.
If your standard is, well, now we have less people in jail than ever, isn't that great? Well, not if you release them. Like, you didn't acquire that because crime is lower in your city. You acquired that result because you specifically let criminals out of jail.
And oftentimes without bail, which is insane. Which is an insane contention.
It's weird. It's an odd choice. I don't know what he's angling for there.
Yeah.
Aside from what points.
Another thing to point out is murders have gone up 23% for the first 6 months of the year. And of course, this is also not in lieu of, but another thing that's been happening recently is he also cut the NYPD's budget as well.
Yeah.
So, which shows us, what do you not want to do? Defund the police.
Yeah, leave the police alone.
If you do, they don't have the resources to allocate officers to police areas. Therefore, crime rates are going to go up.
Well, the other issue is just like the general. It's not even necessarily the funding thing. Funding is a part of it. I think more of it's just the fact that you've demoralized the police. So many of them resigning, so many of them just walking off the job. I mean, you actually probably have less personnel than you did maybe even 3 or 4 months ago, like considerably less, because you've just gone out of your way to bash these people. So,
absolutely.
Like, that's probably a huge portion of this. It's not even necessarily just policy. It's the fact that there's just literally not as many bodies on the police force, and that's crippling.
Oh yeah, it is.
I mean, that's really bad. I think that's probably a huge portion of this. But yeah, him cutting the budget doesn't help. And where do you think that comes from? Like from the police? Because we know that a huge section of the budget doesn't go towards training. Like that has been a complaint for a while. They don't really receive as much training as we'd like. What do you think it goes to? Pay and pension.
Yep.
So what do you think this budget cut came out of? I can imagine it came out of their pay.
Yep.
I can imagine that maybe came out of their pension as well. So what incentive are you giving these people to stay? You're going to treat them like shit, cut their pay, and make sure they can't have as comfy as a retirement they thought they would have?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what do you expect?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It is.
It's
It really
insulting.
is. And just to showcase this, over last weekend, want to guess how many people in New York were shot?
40.
No,
Oh,
a little
30?
too high.
30?
28 people.
Oh, okay.
Well, sorry, not 28 people. There were 28 shootings.
How many of those were fatal?
Huh?
How many of those resulted in actual deaths?
So, it doesn't say. It doesn't really get into specifics here in this.
28 attempted murders, put it that way.
So,
With firearms, at least.
at least 28.
But the gun violence thing doesn't concern me as much because, the majority of murders aren't committed with guns. So, well, actually, I don't know. Handguns, I'd have to double check that. But if you consider gang crime, I'd imagine. But yeah, a vast majority of violent crime is not committed with guns, though. Quite a bit of violent crime is not. So I would say that the murder rates there, what is it, 162% higher than it was last year, or it's something in that neighborhood.
It was up 130%, and that
30,
wasn't the
okay.
murder. It wasn't the murder rates. It was the crime.
I thought it was just violent crime, whatever it was. But either way, it's a ridiculous increase.
Sorry, shootings, my bad, in June.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Anyway, it's ridiculous. Okay, do you think?
Sorry. So the thing with the 130% in June, that was the amount of shootings that they had in June, and that was their highest since 1996. So that's their highest percentage as far as.
Yeah, but it's up a significant amount from last year. That's my point.
Right. Yeah.
Is that you can go back last year under this exact same mayor and find conditions vastly different because recently he has done extremely awful things.
Yeah, and so to go more in depth on the shootings, so out of those 28 shootings, 15 of those occurred 1 an hour for 15 hours straight, consecutively.
15 and 15 hours, yeah. That's fun.
And 15 hours. Yeah.
So they're doing a good job working towards Chicago levels of absolute depravity.
Yeah.
Let's see if they manage it. Jesus. You know what else is kind of annoying is that, well, crime was on the rise generally in New York for a little bit. For a while, we had London eclipsing us for the first time in, God, how many, decades and decades ago, for 100 years, or whatever it was? You had London having more murders than we did. Stabbings, really. And we've flipped that on its head. I guess we're competitive.
I guess at this point.
What the hell?
Yeah, and then also, one of those victims that was shot was a 1-year-old kid, 1-year-old boy. He was shot near a playground in Brooklyn.
Yeah, you probably heard about this. The parents did a press conference that was pretty hard to watch. Father was very distraught, simply put.
Yeah.
Didn't have very nice words for Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And, I mean, there was another one in Atlanta, I believe, by that Wendy's. Had an 8-year-old girl get shot recently. I mean, just ridiculous.
It is, man. It's crazy.
Ridiculous how you can predictably, or rather, sorry, you can reliably predict dead black children wherever Democrats have their way. That is not a good statistic to be racking up.
No, it's not.
It's kind of discouraging.
And the thing that's even worse is on 4th of July weekend, there were more than 60 people who were shot over the course of 4th of July weekend. 60 people in New York.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah,
and it's not getting any better anytime soon with the current policy. So
no, it's not.
But oddly enough, that he has a good rating though. Like Blair de Blasio, oddly enough, he has a good approval ratings. I think because the media is so good at covering for him, and he only really gets friendly press.
Yeah, it's insane, and
it's insane how people in New York want this, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, and it's just crazy because.
And what is it about dead black children that turns these people on so much?
I don't know. Especially whenever you see those amount of people that are shot and killed, and the amount of shootings and everything, and then he goes and says, "Oh, New York City is safer and better." Like, what? What the hell are you talking about? What are you smoking?
Flat fucking wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And also, speaking on the increasing crime rates, AOC also had something to say about this as well. Do you want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, retarded cunt. She was saying that is it any surprise with the economy being this bad? Yada yada yada. People need jobs, feed their family, shoplifting, of course. She didn't really want to talk about the murder stats because murder stats, I guess, aren't really in her favor in this particular argument. Because I don't necessarily know the relation between economics and murder, but I'd imagine that being out of a job because of the coronavirus does not make you murderous.
No,
that would not. I think the lack of police might. That would be a more interesting thing to talk about. Especially because these rates are skyrocketing after the police are having these troubles. It's on the sort of, I guess, decline of these riots. We're seeing this happen now that the riots are going down. You can more objectively look at crime in general as opposed to just the rioting. It's on the tail end of this stuff where we're seeing this occur. It's not before it. Before it, during the previous 3 months of coronavirus crap. Reasonably tame. I mean, as far as crime goes, a little bit of increase here or there, and criminals getting yelled out. I mean, you were seeing incidents, but it's nothing compared. It just doesn't even compare.
No.
To the last 2 weeks in New York.
No.
That's 2.5 weeks. It's ridiculous. And she had this odd idea. Well, maybe it's the economy. It's like, that's an interesting point. Maybe these people could have jobs. Wouldn't that be nice? Like, well, what could we have done to get them jobs? Reliable jobs that were consistent, jobs that were not part-time, but, good full-time jobs that would have been there during coronavirus because, durable companies. Golly gee, what company is doing amazing under coronavirus that wanted to come to New York and add 20 to 30,000 jobs? Amazon. And who led the campaign to not allow that to happen?
Yep.
AOC. Do you know why she did that? She didn't like... Well, she's an idiot. But primarily, it was the tax benefits they were going to get. The city was going to give them tax benefits, credit more or less, to move in there, so they'd pay $3 billion less in taxes. And she said that the city was giving them $3 billion. Do you know how taxes work? They weren't giving them crap. They were saying you just pay less taxes and bring some jobs in here. That's a pretty reasonable policy, if you ask me.
Oh yeah, 100%. Especially when you're going to add.
Just by the numbers, does government spending improve people's lives, or just having a job that's going to sustain them improve lives?
Yeah.
Just do the damn mental math for 5 fucking seconds to figure out what's more important to people.
Yep.
Paying their taxes 100%. Or going to work. Having an actual a job that will sustain them is, I'd say, considerably higher on the list than paying their fucking taxes to a government that never does anything for them.
Yeah, exactly.
The only thing that I would pay government taxes for at this point that I'm willing to spend money on is the police. They're the one branch of the government that I think does phenomenally good for being government run. And primarily because they're so localized. I mean, they're locally accountable. They're not run by the federal government. They're not run by state governments. They're run by localities. And so they're very accountable to the people. People can hold them extremely accountable. So the police are one of the best branches of the executive in this country.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And it's kind of annoying to see the best functions of government being attacked while the worst functions are propped up. And then to have AOC come out and say, well, it's the economy. No shit, the economy is a problem, but were your policies going to make it better or worse?
Yeah, and to speak on that a little bit more, you want to also know, AOC, why a lot of people don't have jobs? It's not just because it's New York, and it's also not just because, you said no to Amazon. It's also because
lockdowns,
stupid-ass lockdowns
that
you were pushing. Oh, let's lock down until we have a vaccine, which might not even happen in the near future. And even if we get one, according to experts, the highest it'll be is up to 75% effective. So,
well, then there's the fact that we're looking at new research saying that possibly you only need 20% of people to get infected to actually reach effective herd immunity with this because of the T-cell immunity you would get from having the common cold or something like that. So it's
right.
There's research out at the moment that's saying the vaccine you wouldn't necessarily need. So there's not really any science to support this idea that we need to lock down. There's just none.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Look at Sweden. Look at Israel doing kind of they were kind of going for the herd immunity thing, and I think they did a little bit better than we did probably. Not with schools though. With schools they had some problems, but I mean I'm not totally sure if that was an issue with schools being open, kids spreading it or not, because in Europe they have all these schools open and they're not seeing this issue. So
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous. It's just insane.
No, for sure. And the thing is with the lockdowns is, what did the lockdowns create? Oh yeah, a whole bunch of unemployment.
Whole bunch of unemployment. And then another thing is in New York, they didn't even do the lockdowns right.
Yeah, they didn't.
All they did was kill the local economy and say, but you can get on trains.
Yeah, you can get on subways without masks. You don't have to be 6 feet apart.
We're not going to clean the subways.
Yep, we don't have to clean them. At least.
Until someone calls us out.
Yep, and then let's start cleaning the subways, and then Governor Cuomo is going to come down and
Like, I know we talked a little bit about this last week. I'm willing to say that 15,000 of those deaths were unavoidable because they got hit hard, they got hit fast. They were the first real epicenter for this disease in America, right? They were pretty bad. Right. I will grant them that for the European strain, at least. However, I'd say a solid 15 to 20,000 of those deaths are directly on Governor Cuomo and de Blasio's head because they were obvious policy failures on their part.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Saying until the middle of March that you can walk around, go to Chinatown, hang out in parks and whatnot, it's like, okay, well that may actually be the parks thing. I don't necessarily consider all that bad, but like go to Chinatown, are you kidding me? Like that's pretty crowded, man.
Yeah, and then also.
And then just get on your trains and go to any part of the city you want. Just you're fine. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
Well, that's a great message in the middle of March when everyone else is freaking out and everyone else is beginning their lockdown stuff. When everyone else is understanding the issue here, and you're pretending like there isn't one.
And then
I would say that solid 20,000 deaths are directly a result of their policy. The nursing home policy, the subways. I mean,
and then also putting COVID positive patients into nursing homes.
Yeah, the nursing home policy.
Which is I don't understand what was going through their heads when they decide to.
Apparently, that was a CDC guideline, like somewhere at the CDC that they're saying.
Really?
Whitmore did the same thing and claimed it was CDC guidelines that she was following. The problem is, they didn't do that in Florida. I haven't seen us doing that in Texas because if you have a head, if you have a brain, you can realize that that's a shit idea.
Well, yeah.
Because, it takes about 3 seconds to realize that.
Yeah, who's the most vulnerable when it comes to coronavirus? Oh, yeah, old people. Where do old people live? Oh, yeah, in nursing homes. So,
using them as spillovers for hospitals is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's like the last thing you would want. That's like literally the last possible policy I could ever freaking consider.
Yeah.
If you want to kill more people, ultra effective.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what the hell?
It's craziness, man. It's ridiculous.
So that's interesting. But New Jersey did that too. There's it's terrible. And then, but the other thing that's really interesting with this is that the ventilator stuff. Right. So the other thing in New York is that they're pursuing like medical treatments that they were okay, but we've seen a lot better responses now in terms of what drugs we give people, in terms of, for example, laying people on their stomach instead of putting them on a ventilator. I mean, we've improved our approach to the virus. So I would say maybe another 5,000 or 6,000 of those, maybe not in their head, just because what are you going to do? I mean, it was a new virus.
Yeah.
But a significant number of that, the way it just ran straight through that city, just absolutely ran roughshod over the entirety of their system. I'd imagine some of that has to do with their policy, a significant portion of it. And this idea from AOC, from de Blasio, from Cuomo that they handled it perfectly, that they're never at fault, that their policies are amazing, that red states are evil. It's like, well, but over half the death is in Democrat states, like over half, well over. Was it like? I mean, I don't know exactly what the number is, but it's like way over half of it is in Democrat-run states. Like New Jersey has 15,000 or probably 17,000 deaths now, and a population of 8 million or 70,000. Wasn't there like deaths per million? Like, let me see if I can find it. It was stupid high. Stupid high.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. While you look that up, I'm also gonna expand more on what.
New Jersey has about 15,665 deaths. They're averaging about 116 deaths a day. Texas is averaging 24. Florida's averaging 34. Over the entirety of coronavirus. Right now, it's different, obviously. California's 43. That's the other thing. California and Florida really aren't that far apart in terms of numbers. Like, they don't look that much. They don't really look that different, especially if you account for population. You know, Florida's population being about 19 million, or sorry, 23 million. Florida's population being 23 million, and California's being like, what is it, 39?
I'm not sure.
I want to say it's like 39. It's something stupid high. But, you look at that, it's like, Florida's not really doing that bad. Neither is California. California could be doing a lot worse. 7,000 deaths in a state of like 39 million. And then you have New York with... Oh, they revised the numbers down, looks like. Now they're saying 32,000. I thought it was 35.
You were spot on, man. 39 million. Almost 30, or almost 40 million in California's population.
Yeah, well, just to clarify, New York City, as far as I can tell, accounts for 22,000 of the deaths of the 32,000 in New York State. So, yes, population density is an issue there, but I would say that de Blasio's policies are probably more concerning. Cuomo's policies, as well as de Blasio's, pretty concerning there. Pretty concerning. So, not so good.
Not at all.
And
it's pretty awful.
They were at one point reaching like an average. At one point, they had like an average of like what 700 deaths a day for like a little bit, for like a small time.
Yeah.
And they're trying to compare like red states right now to New York. Oh, they're seeing their New York style, like New York shaped graphs now. They're gonna get like all screwed up with this. It's gonna be terrible. Texas is screwed. And I mean, at most, I think our highest daily deaths thus far has been 154. That is nowhere close to 763.
No, nowhere.
So the F, you know, the F guys.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about here? This is ridiculous comparing Texas to California, and we're handling this way better. And I'd say population density is obviously a part of that. And in Dallas, I mean, Dallas has like Dallas, Harris County, Tarrant County, Williamson, you know, the Austin area, obviously, Williamson, Travis, El Paso, Hidalgo. I think that's just because it's near the border. But like, you can pick out like 5 areas in Texas where it's actually an issue, and like everywhere else has like basically no deaths.
Yeah.
So even in Texas, it's only in these cities where you find these issues. But even in cities like for example, in Harris County, so you're looking at like Houston, you're looking at a grand total of 500 deaths, with an average daily deaths of 4. So look at Houston versus New York, and I know those aren't necessarily, they're not the same city. You know, one is New York City is obviously way more populous, but you know, big cities are big cities. Houston just looks way better. So,
a lot better.
Yeah, I have to say there's a portion of this that has to be policy. And there's also a portion of this that has to do with the fact that we're further along in the disease when we're starting to get hit, and we have better treatments for it now. But there's got to be a significant portion of this that is policy. You're seeing such a stark difference in states with... Like, Texas has like 10 million more people than New York.
Yeah, almost exactly 10 million more.
And it's ridiculous that we're doing so much better than them. So much better than them. I mean, just phenomenally better than them. Like, let's see what Texas is at. Texas total deaths, 3,744. So New York is sitting roughly at 10 times what we have. A little less than 10 times in terms of deaths. So, like, I don't know how you chalk that up just to... Oh, here's the other thing. I mean, the total number of cases is 311,000. Or they have 409,000 total cases. So as far as like testing goes, we're doing better with testing as well. Because there's no way they only have like 90,000 more confirmed cases than we do. And like 29,000 more deaths. That's ridiculous.
That is 100% ridiculous.
I mean, that's insane. So it looks to me like their testing is lagging, that their treatments weren't as good, and that their policy was bad. Now, the policy issue is policy issue. That's definitely on the politicians. The other two I could just say is because, you know, they got hit pretty hard, pretty fast. But a significant amount of this is policy problems, and I think that's worth noting in the grand scheme of this coronavirus thing. If you're being led to believe by the media, being led to believe by politicians that this is Republicans handle it terribly, states that reopened are awful. New York was in full lockdown. New York was a lockdown state. Did they actually do the lockdown? I don't think so. New York City at least didn't. With the subways, with walking around, all the crap they did, I'd say they did a pretty piss poor version of lockdown. But they have those policies in place, and the other thing is, like, even if you ignore New York City, well, there's 10,000 deaths in the rest of the state. That's still like 3 times more than we have.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Or closer to like 2.5 times more. So just the rest of the state, which is less populous, more red, I think Governor Cuomo's policies had some serious effect. Nursing home policies specifically. So anyway, I've rambled on about this long enough. Wyatt, if you'd like to move to the next topic, I think we're good to do so.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. And this one is kind of your baby. It's the that study for the for COVID.
Yeah, this is a development in COVID. We just want to talk about numbers for a little bit there. But one of the interesting things is I saw an article from Conservative Review. Oh, by the way, one of the things we do here, we like to pull our articles from the Bongino Report, or I do at least. It's an excellent source. Compiles a great many different sources and whatnot. Has good articles. So yeah, if you're looking for just good news, definitely check out the Bongino Report. I enjoy it quite a bit. That's where I got this article from. This article's from Conservative Review, but I found it on Bongino's website. This is saying from Daniel Horowitz, saying that a new study shows 17 years of potential T-cell immunity in SARS-infected patients. So this is effectively saying that if you had a common cold, which is a coronavirus, if you had any sort of coronavirus within the last 17 years, you have a good chance your T-cells remember how to fight a coronavirus, and that you effectively have immunity. At the very least, your immune system is considerably more apt, or more equipped to deal with this. And this is a study. Where was this one done? They're referencing a Singapore study right here. But yeah, they're saying that this is not the same thing as having antibodies. It's just that your immune system remembers how to deal with the coronavirus because it's had like a common cold, it's had some other sort of coronavirus, and it can effectively deal with it. So they're saying one of the things they're positing in the study is that if this is the case, then you really only need about a 20% infection rate to effectively have herd immunity. Which is really interesting, because, we were told 60, 70%, that's how you get herd immunity with most diseases. So this disease is, in a lot of other respects, or at least in this respect, like a lot of others, may be wildly different. The other thing that's interesting to note here is that places like New York, you see that their deaths are going way down, their average deaths are way down now. That's probably because they've reached herd immunity. I assume they've just killed off everyone that could have been killed, unfortunately. But that may not necessarily be the case with the rest of the population. Or at the very least, the older population is the older population. That's the other thing, is I think after you're 65, you effectively stop producing T cells. So that's one reason that, of course, underlying conditions also being a big reason, that older people are going to suffer more from this. That their immune system literally doesn't have the same level of effectiveness that people under 65 would. So, what do you think, Wyatt?
I think this is definitely good news. That it's gonna, obviously the study, it's gonna give, well, for the people it reaches, some positivity about the fact that it's definitely possible that.
I mean, basically every piece of news has been good with the coronavirus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the longer this goes on, the better news we get. Better treatments,
Yep.
Lower death rates than we thought. So, it's a woke virus. If you go to protests, you won't get sick.
Yeah.
That's always good to know. No, better yet, it's the cure. Going to protest is the cure.
There you go. Yep.
So,
yeah.
But that's all I really had to say on that as far as developments. I thought that was a really interesting study. Obviously, there's been other developments too, but that was a pretty interesting study that I saw.
Oh yeah.
So,
and then of course we'll have the some more statistics on COVID as well in our links.
Yep. All right, Wyatt, this is probably more you thing. Getting on to
Yeah.
Biden.
Mr.
Biden.
Mr. Biden. Former Vice President Joseph Biden.
Currently running for U.S. Senate.
Currently running for the United States Senate. So, obviously we're joking there. He's running for president, obviously. And, we were just
Not that he knows that.
Huh?
Not that he knows that, but...
Yeah. Yeah. It's not clear to him that he actually does know that. So
Doesn't seem to be aware of the fact.
No, not in the slightest. So apparently one of his campaign staffers mocked cops and said that they were worse than pigs, and then obviously called for defunding the police. So gal. Okay, so I'm assuming gal. Her name's Sarah. So please
That's
stop
a safe
calling.
bet.
Huh?
Safe bet.
Yeah, definitely a safe bet. Please stop calling cops pigs. Pigs are highly intelligent and empathetic animals who would never racially police you. Get this shit out of here. Get this shit out of here.
They do taste better.
Yeah, I'll agree with that for sure. Because, we get bacon from pigs. So, yeah. This is really bad. And the fact that she hasn't been fired, from my understanding, at least, I don't think she's been fired. But I don't know why they would fire her.
He forgot to fire her.
Oh, yeah, he forgot. You're right.
Yeah, that's an issue that she hadn't been fired. I guess the other issue is the fact that, we had a story a couple months ago about Bernie Sanders campaign staffers wanting to put Trump supporters in re-education camps. So,
yeah.
If you have some illusion these Democrat presidents are up here maybe to push back against the raging radical communism that seems to be prevalent in the Democrat base, you'd be wrong. Their staffers
wrong.
are very much pro radical leftist ideology. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Which leads us into our next thing on Biden. So he straight up said that we need to move funding from the police and send it elsewhere, which is by definition defunding the police.
Yeah, he was asked, "Would you agree with reallocating resources away from police?" And he said, "Yes, absolutely." So he's definitely in favor of defunding the police or removing fundings from them, at least however you want to define that. Which, as we discussed earlier with New York, may not be a good idea. Seemed like common sense once again prevails, and that might be like the shittiest idea I've ever heard. So. I love how schools need more money to get better, even though there's like every study to the contrary that more money doesn't do anything for schools. But police need less money to get better. It's like,
that's
God
pretty
dang,
convenient.
Democrats, man. Democrats. It's almost like it's almost like the teacher union has them thoroughly wrapped around their finger. Jesus,
they have their hand wrapped around the Democrats' ball sack. Just.
They're working them like a meat puppet.
Far away, they'll squeeze. Yeah, but so basically, on Biden, we just we need to keep calling him out for his BS.
For his retarded, absolutely insane policies. This idea that he's supposed to, I think Ben Shapiro's probably covered this pretty well. This idea that Biden's supposed to be a bulwark against radicalism in the Democratic Party is bullshit. Like, if you voted on Biden because you wanted the safe return to normalcy candidacy, you did it wrong.
Yeah.
You should have voted for Klobuchar. You could have voted for Klobuchar. Could have voted for Gabbard. Gabbard actually would probably win the bestest. You want to avoid radicalism? She was the best option, and you screwed yourself out of that. So,
100%.
If you're in the Biden camp and you're thinking, well, he's better than Trump, he'll be a return to normalcy. No, he freaking won't. No, he said he won't. He's a transitional candidate, according to him. I'm just here to open the door for the next generation. It's like he's openly saying, I'm not here to be a moderate. I'm here to open the door to more radicals. He's not going to be a bulwark against radicalism. He's not going to get up there and stand up to these radicals whatsoever.
Not in the slightest. And also, Bernie apparently said, I'm not sure when, I can't remember when this came out, but it was this week that it at least came out. Apparently Sanders said that Biden has moved farther left on some issues. moved closer to what Bernie believed.
Well, his economic plans are like copy-paste Bernie stuff.
Well, yeah.
Like, he is absolutely trying to grab the Bernie Sanders votes. And he won't get them. What he doesn't understand, it's not about...
No.
It's optics. It's optics, dude. You've already lost it. By screwing him out of the nomination for a second time, you've already lost his votes. The only thing you're guaranteeing is you will move farther to the left. So, if you want to do a run towards the middle in general, like, you can try that, but like, you're so radical and you're so dedicated to this radicalism that I can't see Biden's candidacy ever straightening itself out. And this other idea is that, like, you know, someone from the Obama administration is going to be like, going to stop radicalism in the Democratic Party. Like, are you kidding me? Obama was all for radicalism in the Democratic Party. He was a fucking nut.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't understand this idea that anyone from the Obama administration is going to push back against the radical left. Like, the radical left is who emphatically, sycophantically supported Obama. At least his bid for, you know, election and whatnot. As far as actually his actual administration, I think they had some issues because he wasn't far enough left. But he definitely moved politics that direction, for sure. And I don't understand this idea that Biden's supposed to stop radicalism in the Democratic Party. Like, he's a result of radicalism in the Democratic Party. He's there specifically because the radicals want a meat puppet. Someone the establishment wants to sort of pitch some more of the centrist Democrats, but they understand that the radicals have to think they have control if they're going to vote. And so Biden is, in my opinion, not going to do anything for the centrist Democrats, or the more, you know, I guess conservative Democrats, an oxymoron, but the more down the middle Democrats. He's not going to do anything for those people, those more moderates. He's definitely going to be a puppet for the radical left. He's been pretty clear about that. So,
very clear. Yeah.
If the Beto O'Rourke, the hell yeah, I'm taking your ARs and AKs guy is your guy for gun policy, like, yeah, no, you're a radical leftist. Radical idiot, more like.
Mm-hmm. So,
well, go on, talk.
Sorry, excuse me. Got a little burpee there again. Oh God.
I'm not carrying this podcast. This is your deal.
So another thing with Biden too, and I don't think we got to really talk about him very much last episode. So, this guy is known for so many gaffes, and we'll leave links in the description as well.
Yeah, his cognitive decline is widely understood. So.
Oh yeah, 100%. And at one point, somebody asked him if he's been tested for that, and he said yes. And he didn't just say yes, but he said constantly being tested for that.
Must keep failing.
Yeah, which is
has to
pretty
retake the
telling. That's pretty sad. So yeah, we'll just leave links to some of it, a whole bunch of his gaffes, and then also, do you want to talk about Truth Over Facts real quick?
Yeah. So Trump campaign released a no, you do it.
Okay, so all right, so the Trump campaign released now 2 episodes of ads against Biden called Truth Over Facts. And the reason it's called Truth Over Facts is because I believe it was a rally or something where he said this, but he said, we're all for truth over facts. But basically, it's just dedicated to just crapping on Biden and showing him for what he is, which is a
senile idiot.
Yeah, who can't really complete a whole sentence.
Like, he's just a moderate version of Bernie Sanders. Complete failure, never done anything good in his life, consistently screws things up, has terrible ideas, career politician. I mean,
yeah. And more than that,
he's just a moderate Bernie Sanders, man. He feels like the exact same dude to me. He's just less coherent.
Yeah, much less coherent.
Which is at least amazing.
And can actually complete a sentence or a thought.
The 1%. Bernie actually can talk, and Biden just can't, which is
Nope.
I don't understand why they wouldn't go with Bernie. Like, Bernie is the populist candidate. Bernie is the Trump of their party. He's the guy that's going to get all this grassroots support. He's the guy that is here to challenge the establishment. If the establishment was smart, they'd work him like a puppet, man. They just be up there pulling his strings. Oh, I'm anti-establishment, while he sits there and votes party line with Democrats every time. I mean, if they were smart, they would use him. But they can't even do that.
Yeah.
Because they can't stand the idea of someone going up there and saying the establishment's bad. They can't stand that. Even if it's to their advantage to let him do it, they cannot tolerate someone saying that the establishment's bad. They have to be right, you know? And just so weird. So annoying. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Because the Bernie Sanders, like, Trump race would actually be interesting. Because there's actually some ideas to discuss there, but Biden's just an empty vessel. He just takes whatever position you tell him to take. So, at least Bernie had some spine. Kind of.
Yeah. And then one other cool thing about this is Lindsey Graham. Oh man, Lindsey Graham is phenomenal. He's been phenomenal for what, like over a year now? A year or two?
2 years since Kavanaugh.
Yeah. Where he's gotten really, really awesome. He basically just called out Biden. He said that his ideas were crazy shit, which is pretty funny. So
we'll link that. That's a good article. Washington Examiner.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
Really good. But yeah, all right. So I think we've said our piece for Biden.
Yeah, we said enough. I mean, good God, we've given more thought to Biden's campaign than he has at this point, and
yeah.
Just
sorry.
Sad.
I didn't mean to bump my mic. Yeah, it's definitely sad.
It's kind of hard to watch because I actually feel bad for Biden because he's just obviously being manipulated. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's not 100%. Fun to watch that being done to him. I don't think he deserves it. Like, he's an asshole,
I don't
but
think he deserves it either.
Anyway.
All right. So now it's on to Ye, Mr. Kanye.
Mr. Yeezy himself.
Yep, Mr. Yeezy himself. So, despite reports that came out this week, apparently.
Oh yeah, let's cover this. We told you last week we would talk more about Kanye and his presidency, and we thought we'd have to scrap that because one of the things we heard, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, was that he had dropped out. Barely even lasted a week.
Yep.
Well, so apparently that was wrong. Apparently it's just some staffers in his campaign that don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Pretty much.
Which is a great endorsement of his presidency. I like to see that his own staff doesn't know whether he's running or not.
It's pretty telling to how chaotic it is.
Yeah, it's like Trump on steroids, dude. And it's just wow. Just wow. But he's still in the race. Apparently registered, qualified to be on the ballot in Oklahoma. So what do we think, Wyatt? What do we think about Kanye?
Well, looking at his his stance on everything, I'd say he's pretty nice, you know. And he even said, you know, that if Trump wasn't running, then he would run as a Republican. So, you know, once 2020 is over, and because I don't think he's gonna win, obviously. But
one of the first videos he releases, as far as I think you'd find this interesting. One of the first videos he releases as part of his campaign is him registering to vote for the first time.
Yeah,
that's inspiring.
It is very inspiring. That's pretty cool. I actually really liked that. I liked that a lot. I was like, oh, that's pretty dope. So yeah, and
I love how he says stuff like he believes Planned Parenthood's been placed inside cities by white supremacists to do devil's work, which I actually agree with. And then he goes like, and we're going to make the White House based on Wakanda. Like, what?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yep. And then on the coronavirus, he said, we pray for freedom. That's all about God. We need to stop doing things that make God mad. This is awesome. This is excellent.
Elon Musk endorsed him, so.
Oh yeah, he did.
He's going to be the head of our space program. Elon Musk at NASA. Oh my God.
Yep, there we go.
That would suck. Leave Elon out of government. He's better in the private sector.
Agreed. Because he'll have a whole bunch of complacent and terrible people working for him.
He won't have good. Yeah, he won't have good staff. He won't have good budgets. He won't have freedom. A bunch of red tape and crap. But other thing that's interesting is he named his party the birthday party.
Yep, which is pretty great.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, we've linked an article to this. We had it linked in the last video. We'll link it again. If you want to look at more of his campaign, it's yeah. He said I would run as a Republican if Trump wasn't there. Like, that's nice.
Yeah,
he knows he'll get creamed. He knows there's no way he's going to beat Trump in a Republican primary.
Yeah, no chance in hell.
Trump, okay, previous report, Trump was the closest president we've had in years to allowing God to still be part of the conversation, so that's interesting.
Very, very much so.
When asked about his MAGA hat, he said, one of the main reasons I wore the red hat as a protest to the segregation of votes in the black community, also other than the fact that I like Trump hotels and the saxophones in the lobby.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Like, I like the dude, but this is just like, it tells you so much.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's just oof.
And then he also said, when it comes to his foreign policy, he says, "I haven't developed it yet. I'm focused on protecting America first." Hey, what does that sound like? And then he says, "With our great military, let's focus on ourselves first." Yeah, that sounds pretty Trumpy to me.
Yeah, well then he says that if he doesn't win 2020, he'll try 2024.
Yep.
So I would rather see a 2024 bid from him because I think it'd be interesting, and I'd love to see him run as an independent. Because if we can get some real like fire and fervor for independent parties, that'd be great. You know, just something that's different than the current dichotomy.
Right, but he already said, Trump's not going to be on the ticket, so he's probably going to run a Republican in 2024 if he runs.
That's very possible. But if his birthday party gets enough support, then why would he abandon it? So, but why does Kanye do anything? One of the things on the coronavirus cure, he says we need to stop doing things that make God mad.
I already said that.
You did? Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. I just wanted to repeat that. His coronavirus policy is we need to stop doing things that make God mad.
Yeah, and we need to pray. Yeah, and then he also says on abortion, he says, "I am pro-life because I'm following the word of the Bible."
That's good.
Preach it, bro. Yes.
No, I'm not elevating him to the level of thought leader.
Well, yeah, I'm not.
Vaccines
I'm not,
cause
but I'm
paralysis.
saying that he's correct. I'm saying that he's correct, though.
I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying that's not a good way to do public policy. But he has an interesting view on vaccination.
Yeah, he does. You want to go ahead and read it?
No, it's fine. People can read this themselves. It's just
yeah.
But I like his foreign policy stance is interesting. Like you said, America first. I agree with that. But one of the things I don't like about it is the first part of his foreign policy is I haven't developed it yet.
Yeah.
So he's running for office without a concrete view of how he's going to deal with the rest of the world. Which listen, domestic policy is I think more important for sure. But if you're going to be the leader of the military, it's foreign policy you really need to worry about. That is a huge concern.
Right.
So
it is.
So it's interesting.
Yeah. One thing that I did want to touch on his vaccines, though, is he is correct about one thing. So, hold on, where is it? Okay, so where he talks about how that they're going to fix COVID with the vaccine, and he's extremely cautious. I don't agree with being extremely cautious, but he because he's referring to Bill Gates and when he said that he wants to put a microchip in the vaccine.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah, and
because he legally does, but he wants to use ink under the skin as a way of basically tagging you.
Yeah, which in the Bible they refer to. It's not necessarily, that might not be the mark of the beast, but in the Bible it does refer to something called the mark of the beast, which it seems it's described in the Bible as, nothing will be like bought or sold without it. Everyone's gonna have to have it to do literally anything. So,
the microchipping idea, I understand. It's a bad way to conduct public policy.
Well, it's more than just that.
Well, no, I understand the biblical aspect from it, but I don't really care about that, because from a public policy standpoint, there's a lot better arguments against it than the Bible thinks that it's an unacceptable way to do things. The biggest thing against it is it's such an obvious breach of the Constitution. Like, you have absolutely no right to do that to me against my will.
Yeah, no.
Like, zero. Literally none.
Yeah.
So I think that's just a better legal argument. So I understand this, but that's my big problem with Kanye's. I understand his points of it. If all of his opinions are purely biblically informed, I'd like him to have. How does he put that into law? I need him to be able to look at a bill, know what it says, and give some informed consent when he signs something. So I appreciate his biblical standards, but I like Ben Shapiro's policy, where it's like, listen, I may have religious views, but I'm never going to use them to justify my policy. My policy will have a logical basis for it, purely secular, because if I can't prove that if I can't do it without the Bible, then it's not something that everyone in the public's going to accept.
Right. So I agree with that.
So I think as a matter of public policy, I think that Kanye does have some lacking there, where he is.
Oh yeah.
He's relying too much on the Bible to make law.
Yeah, no, I
he needs to understand some of the legal arguments, some of the natural rights arguments, some of the constitutional arguments against some of these things. I think would be probably a better chance for him. And he may understand that and just choose not to use that. Maybe he's choosing to defer to the Bible first, which is fine. But I just haven't seen the evidence that he's supremely educated on the constitutional law.
Right. So along with that, all I wanted to really point out was that the fact that he has a point with that. That's all I wanted to say. I'm not saying that.
I'm sure he has. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying that I'd like to see.
I know. I didn't say you did. I was just saying that in this context, I somewhat agree with him there. That it's definitely possible that is the mark of the beast, which is it's a pretty big issue. So that's all I wanted to say about that. I agree with you 100% that I don't think that you should use that as a first thing when it comes to his policy. It should be backed up by logic and all of that good stuff too.
I think it's just take on Black History Month and saying it's torture porn. God damn.
Oh yeah.
That's what I mean when we talked about it last time. It's like he's just a more Trumpy Trump. Like he's black, obviously, which is he's incorporating a considerable amount of that culture, and the fact that he comes from a more musical background, obviously, and a marketing background too. He's a very good marketer, but he is just as batshit crazy as Trump sometimes, if not more. Like, he says things that are insane, but probably not wrong.
Yeah, definitely.
But certainly outside the box thinking.
Yeah, definitely. Which
taxes, I haven't done enough research on that yet. I will research that with the strongest experts that serve God and come back with the best solution. And that will be my answer for anything that I haven't researched. I have the earplug in, and I'm going to use that earplug. His stance on China's good.
Yeah. Okay, capital punishment. So he's against capital punishment. So I disagree.
Is it thou shalt not kill or thou shalt not murder? Doesn't that depend largely on translation?
Not necessarily.
I could have swore that was heavily translation dependent, because there is a difference in the Bible between murder and self-defense, but they both require that you kill someone.
Right.
The Bible's extremely clear on what is and isn't an acceptable use of deadly force.
Right.
Like, it's not a vague concept in the Bible. So whether or not the state has the right to kill people, I think it does, and it's a matter of justice, a matter of retribution. If you, I don't know, kill 3 or 4 children, like, maybe there's no benefit to having you back out in society. Absolutely none. And maybe those families deserve to see you die.
Yeah. And on top of that too, or not on top of that, but one thing that I do have to say about that though, when you mentioned the translations, I'll get with Jimmy, and because he does speak Hebrew and he does know what the original text actually.
Well, not even that. I'm just saying that there's multiple translations. I'm saying like not just purely the Hebrew stuff. Although the Hebrew is more important, obviously. But I mean like through as long as that verse has been being translated, at what point does it become "Thou shalt not kill" as opposed to "Thou shalt not murder"? Because I can just murder is the proper context of that. Because the Bible clearly lays out when you can kill someone. If they come into your house in the middle of the night, you can kill them.
Yeah.
So it sets up castle doctrine and all this other stuff in the Bible.
100%.
And so I'm just saying that there are distinctions in the Bible between what is murder and what's not. So. But yeah, we've talked enough about Kanye. If you'd like to research Kanye's campaign, we will provide a link. It's rather interesting. It's concerning how many questions he answers with, I don't know enough. Yeah. That is concerning. But hopefully by 2024, having been through this, having been questioned, maybe he'll be a much more well-rounded candidate. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
But he has a few issues where he does know his stuff, and he is very concerned, and I think his opinions are quite good on those. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So he's still in the race, for anyone that thought maybe he wasn't.
Yeah.
He's definitely will provide a link to the article that says he is too, because that was a concern for some. I thought he was out of the race for a second, for at least a day.
Yeah, me too as well.
This is okay. We're on to the next story. The next story is kind of a gimmick, just some crappy, it's just crappy behavior in the media that we found funny.
Yeah.
The media said that the one of the symbols being used by our government is a Nazi symbol. The only problem is that eagles have been used in our government symbolism since the 89?
I think it was 1782. I believe.
82? Okay. Anyway, it's like since like the late 1700s basically. We've been using eagles. Yeah. And a lot of other countries use eagles. I assume before that, Mexico has an eagle on its flag. So no, eagles are not Nazi symbols.
Yeah, and the reason why.
They may have appropriated them, but they also appropriated the swastika. They stole that shit too.
Yeah.
So it's like...
yeah, and the reason why we're pointing this out is
it's more media gaslighting, basically. We know this. Yeah. They know that they're wrong about this, but they decided to write articles on this anyway.
Yeah, so the story here is that USA Today, they did a fact check, and that they were like, Trump campaign was accused of a t-shirt design similar that with a similar eagle to the eagle that was on the Nazi stuff.
Nazi flags, yeah.
The Nazi flag. And they marked it as true. They marked it as true.
But you know what they marked as true though?
What?
They said that criticisms or concerns about the that was true. Well, duh, you dipshits, we're talking about it. Of course people think that's happening. Well, but no, their fact check is technically correct because they're slimy jackasses.
Right, but then why did they change it? It's inconclusive.
Where did they change it?
In the article. They changed it. Go down to where it actually has the ruling. They changed it to inconclusive.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, they changed it.
They realized. So if you had watched the Tim Pool broadcast on this, he did, and that's where I first heard about the story. They initially said that fact check, true that people were criticizing Trump's new T-shirt because they thought it was not a symbol. Yeah, I guess because people are doing that. The question is, are they right? The answer was no. Yeah. They couldn't say that because then they'd have to admit that people were stupid. They were stupid, rather. And so they went ahead and said that the claim that he was being criticized for was true. Well, duh, you fucking idiots. That's the point of the damned article, is that people are making that criticism. But the criticism itself is bullshit.
Yeah, and then...
Now they've changed it. Now they've changed it. Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's ridiculous. God damn it. Man, this is stupid. People are stupid.
Yeah,
that's your fake news alert for the week. Just don't believe anything you read. At this point, good God. Okay, I'm going to launch into this next subject. This was more of a me thing. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
This is about our favorite Supreme Court Justice, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was, this week, checked into the hospital for they said initially it was a minor infection. Then she said she had a push relief, everything's fine, we're good, nothing's wrong. Now we know it's a reoccurrence of liver cancer. What is this, like the third time she's had cancer? And she's been in the hospital way more than that. So the question for us is, at what point does she step down? What point does she voluntarily leave office? Because is she even capable of upholding the duties of a Supreme Court Justice at this point? I would argue not very well. And it's interesting because if she does decide to leave, if she were to pass away, that'd be tragic, obviously. But if that were to happen, then you would have a vacancy on the Supreme Court like we did last race, and we know that motivated a number of people to vote. Question is, does it matter as much now that we've seen the Supreme Court justices picked by Republicans clearly going left, voting left? So,
yeah,
I'd say it still does, because Trump's Supreme Court justices have been pretty good.
Yeah.
Really,
especially Kavanaugh.
Well, no, I'd say Kavanaugh's been good for sure. But I would say that
it's better than the other one that he picked.
Gorsuch only had one bad opinion. I will give him one. If it happens multiple times, then I'll condemn him. Otherwise, Gorsuch has been quite excellent, especially when he writes the dissent.
Right.
I think Gorsuch is usually on solid ground. I think he had an unfortunate misread of this particular situation. I understand his train of thought. I just think it kind of falls apart. But either way, Trump's Supreme Court picks have been thus far reasonably good. Let's see if that holds up. I would say that for me, I'd be willing to have another Trump-appointed judge, because I see them as being generally pretty fair. They're not voting party line. They tend to actually consider these issues pretty well, and they seem to be trying to uphold the Constitution, like legitimately trying, whereas none of the other justices seem to be doing that. Of course, actually, that's not even true. There's two other fairly really conservative textualist judges on the court that do a good job at that as well. It's just that Roberts really isn't. Roberts is playing a weird political game.
Yeah,
and of course there's those other four justices, where Ginsberg and Sotomayor were the worst, who are consistently voting with the left. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
but I guess that's why I'm talking about it now, because her being in the hospital again, not really newsworthy. The interesting thing is that here we are a couple months out from an election, and she's having health problems again. So, do we get another Supreme Court on the ballot, basically? Is that going to be something you have to vote for? That will be fascinating to see, and it'll be really fascinating to see if that becomes a talking point for his campaign. Because if he still thinks he can sell the Supreme Court angle, that'd be really interesting. Because, a lot of Republicans at this point, I'd imagine, people that are really paying attention, probably don't think the Supreme Court angle is all that strong anymore, with Roberts being the way he is.
Yeah. The thing is, though, or not though, but also, if he is able to appoint another one, would that be the first time when a president has been able to appoint 3 within 2 terms?
Yeah.
That's more history, man. More history making.
He would be leaving his mark on this country, undeniably. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. We could talk more about that. Hopefully in the future. Obviously, you and I have talked offline about doing a, showcasing our top 10 presidents as a special
for President's Day.
Yep. So look out for that.
He will. Yeah, that would be quite an outsized impact.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That would be pretty big. What will be really interesting is to see if we get another judge more conservative, does Roberts start to vote conservatively? When the majority of the court's back in his favor, or back in Republican favor, does he start to stop voting with the left? I don't know.
Very good question.
I'd like to say he would. I'd like to say he starts coming to his senses. Oh, people are pissed. People voting Trump. The country's super clear about this. Stop with your bullshit. So maybe he'll come to the realization, oh, I'm fucking the Constitution at risk to my own career. Or reputation, at the very least. Because nobody actually likes it. Very few people that really like it. The left The left only likes it in the sense that they're getting what they want on a policy issue matter.
Yeah.
The right doesn't like it because we think you're a shit judge. Like you are ruining your reputation amongst people that actually care about reputation. You're not going to be welcome in a lot of conservative circles after this.
Nope.
After you're out of your way to screw over the Constitution, because we're pretty rock solid in constitutional values. So, where the left is only concerned with policy and the public policy win for the moment, we will hold this grudge forever. I mean, we conservatives will be pissed forever for him doing that, because this is a matter of the Constitution. We don't like it being transgressed at any time.
No, not in the slightest.
Especially when it's lasting. Those decisions aren't going away.
Yeah.
And you have permanently separated us even further from our founding principles. We as Republicans, conservatives, we're never going to forgive him for that. I'm never going to be satisfied with him again. I'm never going to look at him favorably. I'm never going to be happy with anything he does at this point. Even if I agree with what he does, I will find something to be bitchy about, because I don't like him. I don't like him at all anymore. It's disgusting. It's terrible. And it's a shame that Bush is the one that chose him. That's another failure on Bush's part, unfortunately. I don't understand what he's trying to accomplish by doing that. Like, he has to understand the radical left doesn't care about him. Like, they don't actually give a crap. He's not securing any sort of future for himself. He's just making the country worse for short-term, immediate, political payoff. And it's not even really a payoff, because the other half of the country is vehemently, enraged at you. So it's like, you're not really winning anything. You're just being a dick.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm glad that you on our stare decides this. Ooh, yes, precedent. But no one else on the side you continue to vote for does. They don't give a shit about precedent. This is all about policy. It's everything about them. This is just them making policy from the bench. That is all they care about. They don't give a crap about the Constitution. So why are you throwing your hat in that ring? Like, how the hell are you going to be Supreme Court justice? Just actively rape the Constitution because of precedent. That is not how we're not English. We're not England. English common law may function on precedent. Things that have been done before are precedent. They tend to be upheld. We may have adopted that system, but that's not the intent of our legal system. We were hopeful, because seriously, if precedent was what we upheld, we still have segregation. If precedent is what we upheld, we'd probably still have slavery. I mean, we don't uphold precedent. We make change for the better, and we honored these ideas that our country was founded on. So if you're going to make change for the worse by honoring bad precedent so you can screw our founding ideas, you're wrong all sorts of ways.
Yeah.
Like, that is just ridiculous. So I would love to get some other Supreme Court justices in there that are just better. I can't believe that we had a guy claiming to be a textualist or originalist or something. I don't know if he claims that way. Claiming to be down the middle at the very least. Claiming to actually give a crap about the Constitution and voting this way. It's ridiculous. Like, just admit it. You're cool with a socialist hellscape. You don't care. If the next 3 or 4 years of your life are comfortable, that's all you give a shit about.
Yep. So,
this is annoying because I liked him during the impeachment trials. I thought he was reasonably well balanced. Thought he did a good job there. This is just bad. But for me, the worst part about it is him denying, not taking up Second Amendment cases. So Second Amendment, for all intents and purposes, is not enforceable. It's not upholdable. I mean, if you want to pass a law to violate the Second Amendment, the Supreme Court will not overrule you. The Supreme Court will not make any ruling regarding that. So if you want to, let's say, state of Virginia, you want to just completely outright ban the ownership of guns in your state, I don't think the Supreme Court will pick it up if it goes up that high. Roberts will not pick up the case. So he's actively violating certain rights and ignoring the violations of others. It's like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Every time you're giving an opportunity, you spit in our faces. Ridiculous, man. Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty egregious, for sure.
Like, goddamn, if you want to make everyone happy, jump off a fucking bridge. Asshole.
Easy there.
I mean it. If you want to make everybody happy, you can jump off a bridge. Not a damn person can complain about that. Not one.
Wrong.
fuck off, Wyatt. You know I'm right.
No.
The left would love it because he's voted right-leaning, and the right would love it because he consistently screws us.
Calm down. We do not wish death on anybody, so...
Well, I don't wish death on him. I'm just telling you that I wouldn't exactly mourn it either.
Oof.
I wouldn't mourn Ginsberg dying either, so...
Oh, God.
I don't like her either. It's not like if she dies, you'd be like, well, that's kind of... You know, death's not cool. I'm not exactly really upset about it, though.
Right.
I certainly wouldn't mourn Roberts. Fuck that guy.
Yeah. Alright, so,
I'm not telling you to jump off a bridge. I'm just saying, if your goal is to make everyone happy, it's an option.
Sure. Alright, so our next topic is going to be the presidential race. And this one that I'm
sure... Well, this kind of just ties... We tied this in basically everything. Now, Kanye, Biden, Ginsberg. I mean, this is... We're gonna wrap it up, I guess, with our... Because this will be, I guess, the focus of the next couple months, obviously, is the fact that we're going to elect a president pretty soon. Or re-elect, hopefully. And, you know, I think a lot of the topics today feed into that. COVID, crime. I think the only thing that doesn't is the Twitter hack and Nick Cannon. Everything else kind of, like, ties into campaign stuff, really.
Yeah, a lot of it does.
So yeah, take it away, man. What's your prediction for the presidential race and why?
So, I think Trump is going to win. I'm not sure by how much of a margin. I don't know if it's going to be tighter than last time, or if it's going to be like by a massive amount.
I think it might be a little bit wider because he has such a high approval among Republicans because he performed like a standard Republican did. You know, that's how he performed, and that really it was Hillary Clinton that underperformed. So right. I would say that Biden will again underperform. The enthusiasm for Biden's really not there, and then Trump may outperform standard Republicans a little bit because his in-party approval rating is so high.
Right, and that is true. His in-party approval rating is massive. It's like 96?
I think it's like down to like 93 or whatever just the last couple of weeks. But for a while he had it like 96, 97. I think at 98 is when it peaked at one point. I mean, the Republican Party very much likes the guy.
Yeah, which is to be expected.
Yeah, he's a effective dude. I guess
yeah, very effective.
Yeah, but that's my prediction, is that he'll probably outperform his previous performance by a little bit because he has such high approval rating amongst Republicans, where before it wasn't. Like, it's pretty... I'm not going to say it was 50-50 when he was running. I would say, there was enough Republicans who didn't like him. A lot of people that were never Trump that have been flipped. And...
yeah.
So that will be interesting to see if he performs better than that. And then in the last 4 years, all these stories, people, I left the radical left, all these campaigns, Brexit, walk away. And they're not just walking away. Like, no, we are actively voting for Trump. We've gone from, we voted for Hillary, we are going to vote for Trump to screw these people because we're not being listened to, we're not being heard. And Trump is a moderate, we'll take him over everyone else. So.
Exactly.
He's an asshole, but Democrats are way worse at this point.
Yeah. They definitely are. So yeah, I think I agree with you. I'm not sure exactly what my prediction is as far as I don't know. Like I said, what the margin is, but I definitely agree. I think Trump is going to win. It's mostly because we haven't had very many presidents lose.
The other thing is she's just got tradition behind him, man. Like, it's very standard for a president to get 2 terms. That's very common.
Yeah, it's extremely
it's uncommon that they don't. So, I think he's very likely to get a second term. Just based on that. Just history would tell you as much.
Absolutely.
So he's got the incumbent thing going for him, and he's also got the fact that I think his approval rating is ridiculously high.
Yeah, especially with the Republican Party. So when it comes to the polls, right now, the average of like the big polls is that he's down by about 9%.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, it's actually a lot better than it was, because I'm pretty sure like a month or so ago it was like 15. Like, it was in
Pence did an interview with Ben Shapiro over the radio on his radio show yesterday, and he was asked, well, how do you feel about the polling? Polling's super bad. He's like, well, look at these polls. And he listed like 2 or 3 of them, saying the president's got down by this much. They said exactly this. Like, those are the exact same numbers from 2016. So a lot of these numbers are exactly the same as 2016. So,
right.
You know, if they weren't right then, why would they be right now?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so, you know.
I mean, do you think the polling's more accurate this time around or worse?
So, I think it's accurate right now. I have a feeling that it's pretty accurate right now because of how much he's been demonized. Obviously, he's been demonized a lot over the presidency, but like, it's really bad right now.
You know, how much of the country is Republican, right? Roughly 40% Republican, 40% Democrat, and then there's like that 20% on just like kind of independent, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You mean 10%? Oh wait, no, sorry, not. What am I thinking? Sorry, you're right, 20%.
You know, back to voters, it's closer to like 40-40. I think it's probably slightly more Democrats, but if he has a 98% approval rating, how the fuck are these polls? If you're a Republican and they call you to say you're voting Trump for Trump, 100% of the time people should be saying yes.
Yeah.
So why are these polls so skewed? If he has that high of an approval rating with his own party, why are these polls so skewed? Well, they're saying, a lot of people are saying it's secret Trump voters. People that will not admit to you that they're going to vote that way.
Yeah,
but absolutely
I think that's definitely possible.
I think it's a huge possibility because they did a sneaky little trick. They did a more polling and said, "Do you think there are secret Trump voters?" And what was it like? Fucking like 56 or something like that %. So people said, "Oh yeah, there's definitely secret Trump voters." Yeah. How would they know that? It's probably because they are secret Trump voters and they're just,
or they know somebody who is.
Exactly. They have direct knowledge of the fact, but again, they're not going to tell you who they're voting for. But if you ask them, are there secret Trump voters? Oh yeah, for sure. Why? Because they are one. Most likely, I'd say that's a huge reason why they think that a lot of people are, is because they probably are one.
Yeah.
So they asked people, do you think there's secret Trump voters? People said yeah. A significant people said yeah. Significant number of people said yeah, there definitely are. So other people seem to think that. I seem to think that. I'd say the media seems to think that. A lot of the pundits seem to think there are secret Trump voters. I imagine these polls are just skewed as all can be, man.
Yeah.
I don't think the polls were right last time. I don't expect them to be right this time.
Yeah, I think...
and then what was it? Sticks Exenhammer did a video on this, said that there was a company that does not polling, but election predictions. Mm-hmm. They predicted like a 93% chance Trump wins, and they've only been wrong like 2 times since the 20s.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you're definitely gonna have to give me a link to
I'll find it. The video's in my history. I'll find it, and I'll definitely send it to you. But I've seen a number of... I've only seen one of those, actually. I've seen a number of similar things with that. Okay. And it's just like the idea is that... Because these people aren't doing polling, they're just predicting the election. And it's just... It to me, it seems an oddity that there's such a leaning towards Biden in the polling when 98% of Republicans say they agree with Trump, and Republicans make up 40% of the voter base. Yeah. Independents lean Trump. Or was it like 60% of independents prefer Trump? I don't know. I mean, I didn't see that. Independents lean Trump. Republicans are heavily in Trump's favor. So if you're doing a poll between Democrats and Republicans, and if you see 20 Democrats and you ask 20 Republicans who you're voting for, by the numbers, all the Republicans say yes, and a couple of Democrats should say they're voting for Trump too. So I don't see how he's losing this bad in the polls, unless the polls are wrong.
Yeah, maybe they are, but I think at this current moment, actually, no. I think you've convinced me.
Listen, I'm not saying that there isn't some legitimacy to the polls. I mean, sure, he's probably not as good as approval rating as he was before when he was doing his own press conferences. Yeah. Because so the media has a series of influence. That's one of the things is when he was doing his own press conferences, his approval hit all-time highs. Yeah. Which he needs to realize and start doing those again. Come out and he starts doing them, and he needs to start forcing networks to air them effectively. Yep. Not literally, but he needs to do something that requires them to do it. And he needs to start saying ridiculous shit. He needs to get those people, cameras back on him. Yeah, 100%. This is another thing you need if you're talking about fake news. Realize how insidious the media is. They were covering the press Trump briefings. His approval rating hits all-time highs, and they go, well, this is just propaganda. Nothing he says is true. We refuse to cover it on this esteemed network. We're not going to cover this fake news. And they stop covering his press briefings when his ratings peak. His ratings peak and his approval rating peaks.
Yeah.
So why did they really stop covering his press briefings? Maybe because when you hear the dude talk, when you get away from the media bias, you realize he's not anywhere near as radical as you think he is. He's a moderate fucking Republican, which a ton of people can get on board with right now.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So when he's doing his own press briefings, he is way more popular.
Yeah.
Which is why all the networks stop covering them, because they're like, oh crap, we are giving him this election.
Yeah, for real.
So the media is so disgustingly transparent. I think that's another thing. See, I think media distrust is way higher now than it was when he ran. Way higher.
Yeah.
Probably like 20% of the population's been flipped
higher
towards the fake news side of things, where they think that is bullshit.
Yeah.
So if he runs another campaign on the media is disgustingly awful and just won't shut the fuck up about won't stop lying. If he just hammers the media for this campaign, he'll go far. That will go a long ways. That will resonate pretty strongly. That and talks about China. He has to hit China. He has to hit the media. He has to hit Joe Biden's dementia. He hits those three things, he's basically got the trifecta. Then sprinkle in some of his immigration, economic policy. I don't see him. I cannot see why he wouldn't have mass appeal at this point. With China, with the media, with Biden's dementia, like those 3 points you mentioned to anyone, doesn't matter who they are, you mentioned that, talk about that. And how can you get anyone to disagree with that? Biden's clearly got dementia. Why would you want someone with dementia as president? Biden is terrible record. So we talk about dementia and terrible record. Teaching in politics, he's the establishment. People don't like the establishment. They've already been clear about that. They don't like establishment. Then you have China. Trump's been right about China for decades, where no one else was right about him. No one else is right about China. Well, I say that. There have been plenty of people that have been right about it. No one else currently in politics was right about China in the way that Trump was.
Yeah.
And that goes a long way when China started this virus that is killing our economy and is being very aggressive on the world stage. So that's an interesting point. And then there's the fact the media is so unbelievably awful, and people are aware of it, that's something else that I think he resonates massively. So I think Trump's campaign is going to be a massive success if he hits on a few really key points that are universal. You don't have to be a Republican to agree with these things. China, bad. Biden, dementia. Media, lying. You do not have to be a Republican to agree with any of those.
That's very true. 100%.
I have a very hard time believing he'll lose. I'm going to go out and vote for him, for sure. I'm not going to advocate. I'm not saying you should be sanguine about this. You need to go out and vote with some urgency. But don't give in to this panic that he can't possibly win and then decide you're not going to do anything about it. Go out and vote, and I'm almost certain he'll win. I don't see how he couldn't win.
Yeah.
He has way too much going for him. I mean, an astounding amount of things going for him. And there are real substantial criticism of him from the right on his economic policy, on some of his foreign policy. But even that, just his general stance on China, the media being as awful as they are, and Biden having dementia, like, I don't even care about the criticism on him from any other really angle. You know, his economic policy, I think there's some issues with it. His foreign policy, some issues with it. Like, so, but those are the real criticism of Trump. There's stuff from the left isn't really real criticism, unfortunately. A lot of it's bullshit. But even the real criticisms of Trump are so far outweighed by the positives he brings. Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't vote for him at this point, you know. The negatives he could possibly have, you know, expanding the economic bubble, which eventually will pop, that's a problem. You know, his spending is a real problem. I would like him to significantly decrease government spending. And then, of course, there's another issue with some of his foreign policy with, like, not Iran, sorry, with North Korea. It's a little wishy-washy. It could be a little tougher. But other than that, I don't have a lot of problems with the dude, you know?
Yeah.
I don't really have any substantial arguments against him. I wish he was a bit harder. I wish he was a bit more of an advocate for gun rights. He could be a bit stronger on that, for sure. Kind of feels like Ronald Reagan in that respect to me. But
yeah,
what do you think on it?
He only really hits on it, like on his rallies, and, you know, basically just condemns.
Just condemns Democrats basically. He's not really expanding gun rights. which he should be doing. But because then he'd have my vote for all time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because I can deal, literally anything else the government does, I can deal with, except for the crackdown on guns. Like I can just not ignore it entirely because bad policy is bad policy, but I can rest assured that if I ever feel the need, I can overthrow the government. If they attack my right to bear arms, that really strikes at the core of what it is to be American, and it really, 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 really gets my goose. Don't appreciate 100%. That. So I wish he'd expand gun rights, but all right, I think I've rambled considerably in this podcast. I'm gonna let you have some time to shine, Wyatt.
Yeah. So
show them how bright and beautiful and brave and strong and independent and phenomenal you are.
So, like I said, I think Trump's gonna win. And now I'm thinking, I'm looking at how many electoral votes he got in 2016. So, for some reason there's a confusion as to if it was if he got 304 or 306. So I'm just gonna go with the lower one, say 304, to be fair, I guess. Okay. So if going by that standard, he got 304 electoral votes, and Clinton got 227. Which I'm not sure if that's the slim margin. I mean, I guess it is because it's by like 74 electoral votes. So I assume that's still pretty close because I think you have to get how many to win the
270.
270. Yeah. So that was pretty close. So I do think he's going to win by a wider margin. So I'll go ahead and list off the states that he won last time, and then if you want to have a discussion about like which ones you think that he might lose or gain. So he won some of Maine. I guess it was split.
Yeah, they split their votes.
Yeah. Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Wisconsin. Did I say Michigan already, right? Didn't I?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, not New England, Nebraska. That's right. I always forget that Nebraska is in North Dakota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Montana, Idaho, Utah, and Arizona, and Alaska. Those are the states that he won. Are there any of those that you think that he will lose?
I think a couple of them might be up for grabs, but generally no.
You don't think so?
Granted, swing states are swing states. No real way to predict that. That I'm aware of. But no. In fact, I think in Florida and Texas specifically, he'll probably win big. More so. Because in Florida, I mean, with the way they've handled coronavirus, and Texas, the coronavirus being just so much better than anywhere else, you know. And they're obviously those people are obviously not taking their cues from the media. So right. I would say personal prediction: Florida and Texas go for him bigger than they did last time. Other states, I'm not sure. I really couldn't tell you. I don't see him losing Wisconsin. Iowa, probably not. Nebraska, no, definitely not Nebraska. There's no reason he'd lose Nebraska.
What about Michigan?
That one, yeah, maybe a little bit more up in the air, but with Whitmer being so awful, I'd say it'd probably go for him bigger.
Yeah, that's definitely possible.
Yeah, I'd say that. That's probably. I mean, those are the states that are interesting. Okay, granted, all the states are interesting. I'm saying that I don't see him losing really any of those. Like, why? Like, what has he done that would make him less favorable to the majority of people that voted for him in those states before? You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And do you think he's going to gain any? So that leaves the rest of Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont.
I'd probably say no. Actually, I'd say it'd probably be slim.
Okay.
I think he'll win bigger in states where he's already have a Republican population, because the Republicans that were there before, some of those who didn't vote for him will definitely go for him now. But the left has gone off the deep end. They hate him entirely. So if he lost states before, he'll probably lose those same states, them being so anti-Trump, and they'll probably show up in force. Unless the Republicans show up in considerably more force in some of those states than they did last time, and that actually, either makes it really close in those states or they flip them. But no, I think I'd be willing to bet no.
Okay.
I still think it'll be a close election just because of the media, because the Democrats hate him so much. I just think the approval rating for Trump in his own party, the enthusiasm for Trump in his own party versus Biden, feels to me like he'll probably get a repeat of the 2016 election. But he may win the popular vote.
You think he'll win the popular vote?
I think it's very possible, yeah.
Okay.
But it'll be increased turnout in states he's already won. It'll be increased Republican turnout, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree with that, at least with the Republican turnout. The turnout for Republicans is going to be massive. Now, I'm not saying that to be...
well, just a matter of fact, I mean, he was running in primaries unopposed, and 100,000 people would show up to vote for him.
Yeah.
Like, they love him so much. They're so happy with him. They want him so bad. He's unopposed, and they'll give him 100,000 votes.
Yeah.
Dude, they could have given him like 2 votes, and it would have been the exact same result. But they show up 100,000 people, and some of these primaries show up.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
God damn, dude.
Yeah, it's the base, man. It's crazy.
The base loves him.
Yeah, they do.
I enjoy him. For me, he's a solid 6 or 7 out of 10. He's a good president on the whole. But he has some fanatical fans, people that are just insanely enamored with the dude.
Yeah, it's
for better or for worse. But I mean, like, he definitely inspires some loyalty. And
yeah, which is that's definitely what we need in the Republican Party right now. At least right now, we need something like that. Something that is unifying to the party. And it is definitely pretty unifying. But that being said, I'm still 50-50 on whether or not he's going to win the popular vote. And maybe
I would say there's a good chance he does, but even if he doesn't, I don't think he'll lose it as bad as he did last time with like 2 million.
Right.
Say we lose the popular vote, I'd say, like, here's my prediction. I say personally it'll be extremely close in popular vote, or he will outright win popular vote, but probably by a narrow margin. If he doesn't win it, I don't expect him to lose it by any more than 1 million. It'll be less than last time. If he does lose the popular vote, and I don't think that he will, it'll be less than 1 million. 1 million or less. Probably less than 1 million, actually. That's what I'm betting. I don't think it'll be the same. I think enthusiasm for Biden is lower than it was for Hillary.
Right. I think that's definitely possible.
Yeah, establishment, old white dude. I mean, you're not going to get, he rapes women, or not rapes them, but at the very least sniffs them. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
The female enthusiasm that Hillary had just for having a vagina,
is gone.
It's not there. I mean, well, he still has a vagina, but sorry.
Yeah.
No, sorry, that was rude. But he's such a creep, and especially with children. Oh my God, that's the thing. Is like suburban mom's like, ooh, Trump. He like talks. He says bad things and whatever. I don't want Trump around my kids. But Joe Biden likes to sniff them and touch them inappropriately. That's definitely what I want around my children.
Yeah.
It's like listen, if you're living in those suburbs and you're a mother, you're a fucking idiot. Like, just by default now. Like, I have to believe that because most of you don't like Trump. Yeah. You have some visceral reaction to Trump. It's like, what the F has he done except for stop human trafficking, a lot of which is child trafficking?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
He's had like, 3
creepy Joe Biden. Yeah, creepy Joe Biden inspires more confidence in suburban women than Donald Trump. Yeah. Are you high?
Yeah, they must be.
The dude that sniffs little kids' hairs and touches their collarbone inappropriately.
Yeah, and then the one
this Muppet? Are you shitting me?
Yeah, and then he also loves it when they jump up and down in his lap
and touch his legs,
his leg hair.
Yeah,
yeah, it's pretty creepy.
Dude, if I was a suburban mom, Joe Biden would inspire nothing but vitriolic hatred. Like, I'd probably spend every night in front of in my front entry with a shotgun, waiting for Joe Biden to try. and be like, here's
There you
your,
go.
and then he'd come in and I'd be like, all you need is a double barrel, 20, 12 gauge, 12, 20 gauge shotgun. Bam, bam. Just like, just fuck you, Joe Biden. Get the fuck out.
Man.
Get the fuck out of my house. Like, if I was a suburban mother, Joe Biden would inspire extreme discomfort in me.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's not even a contest. Like, no, I don't want to get.
Because Trump doesn't touch children. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Actively stops human trafficking, which is largely child trafficking.
Yeah, and I can't believe that this is something that we even have to like talk about in a national election. But Trump doesn't touch children.
Yeah, like I can't believe that suburban women are so. And that's what I mean when I say like I think some of you are honestly got retarded. Like you're so emotional. Like you're so not to poke fun at women. Be how you want to be. Do your thing. But you're so emotional and you're so hell-bent on the image of something, you won't focus on the substance of it, which is that Joe Biden is a child toucher at best, a child molester at worst, and an all-around creep for fucking sure.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the guy that you find more comfortable than Donald Trump? Dude, Donald Trump kicks pedophiles out of his resorts and puts them in jail.
Yeah.
Joe Biden actively aids and abets them, as far as I can tell. Okay, that might be an accusation I can't back up. He's not hindering their activity, put it simply.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, are you shitting me? Joe Biden? Guy that sniffs little kids' hairs.
Yeah.
Hair, like, oh my god, guys, what the fuck?
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, no, I think Trump's gonna win by you've convinced me now a higher margin than he did last time. I don't know by how much, but I
just find it hard to believe he would have lost any ground with his base.
Yeah.
Like, Ann Coulter's like, well, the wall didn't get built. Oh, okay, what it did though. Like he is putting a border wall. Is it slow? Yeah, it's slow. But I mean, what do you expect it to be? Like immediate? It's a huge construction project.
Yeah, it is.
I imagine there's a fuck ton of red tape and paperwork to go through.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not shocked that it's slow. But he is doing his damnedest, and he was stonewalled pretty hard. And then he's gutted Obamacare, which is good. I mean, he has done a good job on a number of his promises. He moved the embassy to Israel. The Jewish people should love him now. The Jewish vote should go heavily towards Trump. It won't, but it should. I mean, he's done so good on so many things where he's really kept up a significant number of his promises. Like, if not all of them. He's kept an overwhelmingly, like the majority of his promises, where people just don't generally do that in politics.
They don't.
So it's been really refreshing. And if you don't like his policy, you don't like his policy, that's fine. But if you think he's worse on the world stage than Joe Biden, you're retarded.
Oh yeah, especially because obviously with all the gaffes and everything, the dude literally forgot the name of his boss. He literally forgot the guy he was working for.
What's the guy that gives China a pass on everything, and Russia and China a pass on everything? Says he's going to be harder on China than Trump is, and you do a better job. Bullshit. We have your record, dude.
Yep.
Like on the world stage, he's just not someone I want leading us. He's a weakling. He's a coward, man.
Yeah. And then also, you also need to look at
the only thing he can do effectively is leverage taxpayer money and promised loans.
Yeah.
To get his son off.
Yeah.
That's the only effective thing he's done with foreign policy. It's the one thing where I can really see him having a backbone. But beyond that, he's a fucking jellyfish, dude.
Oh yeah, for sure. And and he obviously was also part of the administration.
But he's forgotten how to sting.
Obama. Yeah.
He's not even an effective jellyfish.
No, not even close. It was also part of the Obama administration, which.
I mean, if you like their foreign policy, giving billions of dollars to terrorists, and please do that again.
Yeah, and then he also
promise you flexibility to Russia. Oh God, how the hell are you gonna?
Yeah.
Trump-Russia collusion. Trump is working for Putin. Trump is doing Obama. I'm going to give you all the flexibility you want after I get elected. Just leave me alone until I get elected. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You want to talk about collusion? That's out in the open fucking collusion.
Yeah. It's pretty bad. It's pretty egregious.
So it's like, no.
Yeah.
If you think Joe Biden's better on foreign or domestic policy, you are high.
Yeah. And I don't know what you're high on, but it's some pretty heavy stuff, and you need to share.
I don't know, maybe you shot up some horse tranquilizer before you drop some DMT.
Yeah.
This is a good way to think about politics. Fucking goddamn, dude.
Yeah. All right. So sort of. We should start wrapping up here. Unless
Maybe.
you really have any.
No, I think we've made fun of Joe Biden enough.
Yeah, I think so.
Takeaway from this episode is that Nick Cannon's a racist and it's disgusting, and Joe Biden doesn't know what the hell he's talking about ever, at any point in time.
At all.
Never has.
And then, nope. And then also, so one thing that we did want to address as well, is we're actually getting a little bit of traction. So our last episode got 39 views, and we were happy with that for sure. That's awesome. That's a lot more than we got.
Well, you think it was awesome, but I was under the impression this was only for friends and family. So if you're not a friend and family, stop watching our fucking videos, you goddamn perv.
Calm down. Obviously, he's joking, guys and gals. But anyways, along with that, you would definitely like to get a little bit more interactions. So
yeah, please comment. Like, I don't know what you want if you don't comment.
Yeah.
Like, I guess tonight, probably off the bat, Wyatt needs to talk more. We're working on it. We're trying. One day he'll learn how to elaborate. But
yeah,
I believe in him. He has the potential. He does it often with me, but I put him on a mic and he just wants to be quiet. Not wants to be. He just can't rant like I can.
Yeah.
I have so much more anger in my heart.
Yeah, you do.
And it very much helps me to run a podcast. But
oh yeah.
But for real, for comments, the reason I want you to comment, in the last videos I've gotten pretty minor interaction with comments, is that I would like to know what is and isn't good with our format.
Right.
A portion of this
100%.
little experiment we're doing is so I can get more interaction with other individuals than just my immediate friends on my opinions, on how we're doing this. Just general speaking, we're talking about elections, we're talking about general politics, very interesting immediate current events that have significance. So when we're putting out opinions on those things, we would love feedback. We want to hear what you're thinking.
Absolutely.
If you just agree with everything we say, you can comment that too. That we just need something. And
Absolutely.
Likes are awesome. Likes and shares are great, but really I want comments. I want to know what you appreciate about the podcast and what you dislike about the podcast. We
100%.
need to put, and next time we do this, I will put that at the beginning of the podcast, because I imagine some people don't finish the podcast. But next time I'll put that at the very beginning. I'll put it in the description of this video, actually. Please do comment. It really, really would help me understand what I'm doing right or wrong.
Yeah, and then, damn it.
It's very important feedback for me.
Yeah. So yeah, once again, thanks for watching. And God, what is it with me and over the past couple of weeks and having Biden related issues?
The thing.
The thing, the thing.
You mean God?
Yeah.
Alright, take us out, Wyatt.
Alright, so once again, thanks everybody for watching if you made it this far. And I hope all y'all have a great weekend. We will see y'all next week with another episode and possibly some behind the scenes stuff.
Maybe. We're considering. But yeah, thanks for watching. This has been the second episode of the Peak Politics Podcast. This was recorded on July 18th, started around 1 p.m., and next episode should be relatively same time frame.